All right, then. I'm here with my guest, Kofie Yeboah. Is that? I want to make sure I
Yep.
get your name right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool, cool,
Yeboah.
cool.
Yes.
Thank you for coming here and hanging out with me and talking some hoops.
Of course. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah. One thing, it's kind of hard to nail down exactly what you do. I know you do videos with Secret Base, you Twitch stream. What would you consider yourself?
So currently, I am the engagement manager of Secret Base. I run the Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok accounts for them. I also co-host a show called Fumble Dimension with John Boyce, where we try to make the twilight zone of sports video games. We try to break video games and etc. I also have a personal Twitch stream at Kofie Y, and then I do a bunch of short form TikToks now also.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. So I love your series where you go through classic video games and do like deep dives. Like I especially love it because I grew up with all those games and your level to attention to detail is just like unrivaled. It's amazing.
I
So
appreciate it.
yeah, it's something that like it should make I have like a shed tear moment every single time I go through that stuff because watching all those like old live games and all those even like 2K ones, it's crazy. So I know that you are a fan of NBA video games. Can you just talk about your first introduction to them and
Yeah,
what was your
absolutely.
favorite growing up?
So my first introduction to video games was I got an original Xbox about
Ooh.
2004, 2005, and my parents got me all of the used games that year. So it was NBA Live '05, March Madness 2005. They gave me NHL 2005 and MVP Baseball 2005. So they just got me
Okay.
all the EA titles straight across the board. And of course, NBA Live 2005 is known as the best NBA Live. So
Ooh.
starting off with the best is a hell of a note to just like get interested in sports video games as a whole, you know.
So are you a live or 2K person?
I'm a 2K person now, but I understand. I feel like the what happened to NBA Live should be studied in colleges.
That NBA Elite was just the weirdest. I don't know what the like, experiment that they were trying to do there. It was wild.
Yeah, it's just the fact that I don't know how many people are gonna like. I feel like younger people don't understand that when the Xbox 360 came out, um, the next gen sports games were worse than the current gen sports games. I
Mm.
feel like it's reversed now, where it's like 2K23. The next gen is actually the better one, where the now current gen PS4 is it's the worst, but it was flipped. So when I feel like EA Sports and NBA 2K, EA Sports and NBA 2K, when they had to do their next gen, NBA 2K's transition was fine,
Yeah.
but then EA Sports started to make the worst basketball games I've ever
Oof.
seen in the series. So I think it had to do with the jump to next gen and EA just like either the engines weren't like compatible or it wasn't really a graceful transition. So it's 2K now by default because there
Yeah.
isn't an NBA game anymore, but I mean NBA Live game anymore. So
Yeah, no, I miss though that NBA Live 2004, even 2003 when like Jason Kidd, there was just something about the dribble moves, the side to side, and the layup packages that were just like, I've never seen a game like this because I grew up like I'm probably aging myself here. Double dribble was the first basketball game you could
ooh,
get, and then I got NBA Jam, and I
mhm.
got the original 2K. I remember when that came because I changed because I was using the old lives when like you could get Michael Jordan on the N64 and when Iverson started coming out with those series, it was just like it was a heater series, and that live had that stretch right there. And then I don't know, yeah, to your point, EA just kind of dropped the ball with that Madden series too as well, because even ESPN 2K5 was just like, oof, one of the top football games.
Yeah, and even the thing about that is that even after Madden had like the exclusive contract, they were still good games up
Mm,
until I would want to say like I must be generous and say 12, right? They were still making good games, but 2K had their number and they knew it.
yeah, yeah,
Especially because the game was about what 20 $25 something like that
yeah.
for like one of the most complete games I've ever seen. And it's just wild to see how older games were made with so much love in them and there were so many features that came with it, right? I remember in 2K5 you could play like against Carmen Electra's football team or whatnot, and it was just like I don't know why. And you go back now and you're just like I don't know why this is a game. And it's like you would get a call in the video game and I think it would be Steve-O or something, and you're just like this is nuts. And you're just like it's just so many features and stuff. It was
Yeah.
now it's just all these the story mode cutscenes and all the stuff you don't want. You just want to play basketball, but you have to do
Oh my
like
god.
side quests and all of
I
that.
gotta do
So
TikTok dances before I can go into my first NBA game. I was just like, this is wild. I got work tomorrow, man. I'm making TikTok videos in a video game. Don't remind me of my
right,
real life right now. Um,
exactly.
so do you have like a secret like 2K player throughout all the years that maybe no one else knows about that's like super good, that's just like so amazing that you always used to bust out on people?
I don't have like a super good 2K, but like what I did was I used to remember getting cooked by computer Ben Gordon. I remember
Oh,
that. Yeah, I
yeah.
used to get I used to get cooked by him, whether he was on the Bulls or
Pistons.
Pistons. Yeah, I remember. Or so what I did in 2K is I used to do all these fantasy drafts, right? Where it was just like, okay, we construct this team, construct that team, and whenever I like saw a team and had Ben Gordon on, I was like, oh man, here we go, and he would just drop off 35 on me, and that's like the computer. So I played on like
Yeah.
Hall of Fame mode and all that. What I used to do in older 2Ks was I would fantasy draft all the like 6'10" versatile people like Lamar Odom, Hito Turkoglu, Peja, and I'd like just start a lineup of those people where it would just be like, okay, we're all going to space the floor, shoot threes and all that. This is like 2K. This is like 2K,
Hey, you're revolutionizing the game
2K7.
with basketball. That's like literally the what's his name? Masai Ujiri's plan for the Raptors. Just a bunch of 6'10", 9 guys who can space and shoot and like play defense. So you're a
It
revolutionary.
it's amazing how many people that like played video games back then started to like be like, okay, we're gonna just start shooting all these threes, and like everybody like that was growing up in the households like knew it. That was the best, like that was the best way to do it. And the NBA finally, like it took like years for the NBA to catch on, I
Yeah.
think. And it was just funny where it's just like we're not saying that we were ahead of the curve, but we were playing video games, and you'd be playing either NBA Jam, being like, okay, I could just this dude has a 9 3-point rating. I'm gonna just shoot with threes all the time.
Yeah.
That was it, you know.
that's
So
that's
that's
why
that,
Gerald Green was the god. Because he was just
right.
like, I'm gonna dunk on you or I'm gonna hit threes, you know.
Right. That's the thing about 2K is that that was it. You either dunked or hit threes. You weren't out here there hasn't been a 2K in my remembrance where I played against a buddy and we were like doing the high post catches or like mid-range post ups or like nobody was doing that cuz that after that I think what goes into it also is like the shot clock in 2K video games. 2K has one of the most extensive like playbook play calling playbook AI kind of sets, and you can call it. And it's a fascinating thing about 2K is that you can put on the 05 06 Suns playbook. You can run the triangle offense. You can run the 80s Celtics. But the thing is, it takes too long for you to one scroll through the menu and figure out which play you want to call. And then also after that, you have to wait until all of your AI players that you're not controlling are set up. So by the time that happens, you have about maybe 9 or 10 seconds left in the clock.
Yeah.
So now you're just sitting here being like, all right, now it can't, you just literally can't call plays. But the
Yeah.
only thing you can do in Dynasty, what I used to do was I would do just coach would auto call the plays and we would just run them. And
Whatever
I
they
did
did.
that. I did that in 2K 13, 14, 15. With the Pacers, we had these like plays that you had like a couple plays that you remember that would always be like easy alley oops or easy threes. And that's like the fun part of 2K to me is like
Yeah.
the X's and O's of it that that are possible to pull off.
Yeah, I agree. I like the new 2Ks where you can just like pop plays into like the quick menu system because there was this comedian league 2K league that we had, and I would just run plays on them. I would go just find this guy on YouTube, shout out Sam Pham, and all his money plays, and I would just run that over and over and over again. There was contingencies to the contingencies, and I just keep like spamming that stuff with like a 5 wide out, and
You
a lot
did
of fun.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I used I would either use they got rid. I think 2K got rid of 5 wide or five. They got rid of 5 out. I think
You have
one
to run
as
like
a
a
free lad
21,
set.
yeah, 21 delay or Warriors like 2000 and like 18 or something like that. Something like that kind of mimicked the 5
Yeah,
out kind of.
I would do that, and I would also run. I think for me, I would run horns. I just run
Mm,
horns all the time.
just
Because it was easy for horns because it's just like as long as you know, I think for 2K at least, as long as you know where your players are going to be on the court, you can be able to like if they run to the same spot, you'll be able to be fine. Where I would always do like a corner pick and roll or like high pick and roll or like just high post touch and all of that, and it just like especially when you had teams where if you're playing play now online, especially if you had teams that didn't have like all the shooters that you wanted, that was a way to get like easy layups and stuff like that. So I used to do, but I used to like mess with all of the freelance sets and see like which ones actually like go well with the video games and which ones don't.
Yeah.
So
Pelicans playbook so far for all the next gen 2Ks. That's the only one I find
really,
works. Yeah, I've been spent. It's like a bunch of like Fist 92s that give you like double high screens and somebody cutting and somebody pulling out. And yeah, I have to switch out the rappers every year because I try the rappers playbook every year and it's just like, oh, this
it's
is
not it.
impossible. It's not gonna work. I can't get to the rim. I can't get a three. I can't get nothing. It is hard out here. And then I would put a 2-3 zone on people. That was another thing too. I used to spam that.
I mean, people used to criticize people for playing zone in 2K, but I don't think that's because from an AI perspective, that's the only way you know that the AI is going to be where they're supposed to be. Because there are a lot of like glitchy like AI mechanics and stuff where you can get beat by just being in the wrong position, and it's not even your fault, where it's like you're guarding the person you're supposed to guard, but then your AI just like starts not paying attention. But in like a 3-2 or 2-3, you know that you can just like switch and switch and switch, and it's like, you know, I don't mind that in a video game at all. But
yeah, no sportsmanship for the Hall of Fame CPU. That's great. Chris Smooth said that proverb. So talking about like some other classic video games, are you an NBA Street or And1 Mixtape video game person? Where would you go? Or even NBA Jam?
Look, I think the And1 Mixtape game is one of the most underrated games.
Thank you.
Ever.
Thank you.
I play that a lot more than NBA Street. I have, but so the thing about the And1 game is, I think the And1. I wrote an article about this on Secret Base where I talked about how the controls, right? I think the And1 game at that time was they put the most dribble animations but they were responsive, right? You had to like put the right and left thumbstick a certain way to get a certain move, right? And it was a quality game for when you think about what they were doing at the time. Like the thing was, it was like, I forget who was behind the producer that was behind it. I think it may, I don't want to say it was Midway, but I want to say that like, or Ubisoft, one of the two. But it was, it was made with a lot of care and love, and you played it and you were like, I don't care what the score is. I'm just trying to pull off the coolest move, the craziest move, and all of that. And I think one of the video games, it came with the Mixtape Tour disc.
Yeah. And you get to see all like Hot Sauce and all those people just show out. Who was your favorite?
Who's my favorite? I'm gonna say Pharmacist, actually.
Pharmacist? Okay. That's a niche pick. I like that one.
Pharmacist, man. I thought I didn't know, because have you watched the And1 documentary?
Oh no, my friend was telling me about that. It's like a 30 for 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's on Netflix. They did. You're right. They did make an ESPN version as well. Yeah. I was thinking about the Netflix one where they talk about the rise and fall of it. But yeah, all of those Street Ballers, they had Professor, of course, Pharmacist, Ayo, Hot Sauce, and they all had their own. Yeah, they all had their own ratings. They all had. I was like, cool to see, and the fact that you could create your own Street Baller and like travel with them was just such a cool thing. You could like play it over and over, try new builds and all of that, and you could even like add your own. You could make your own finishing moves as well.
Yeah.
The customization and like level of just care and being like, hey, we don't have all the big like NBA names and stuff, but we have our guys and we know how cool our game is. We're just gonna put that into And1, and I think that the And1 game is just so underrated. It's
Oh.
cool. It's nice to talk to someone that like understands and like knows. They're like, I played that game because I try to talk to my friends and they're like, I don't think that game exists, man. I think you were just alone at the crib.
You were just drinking Mountain Dew and you saw a Kazaa video about that. You had a dream. That's all that was. That was a code red dream. It's a fever dream, bro.
Right.
I remember because it was back in the day where you could get like the bootleg video games, and I would go down to this mall that we have here in Canada called I forgot the name of it. Oh my gosh. But it's you get all these bootleg games, and I remember I picked that up and I was playing it. I was giving it hours and just have people come over and just slapping them and just it was fun. And I feel like its successor, almost in a way, its spiritual successor was the NBA Ballers series, which was kind of fun too as well in its own right.
Oh, absolutely.
It had like all of the customizable thing. It almost felt like Def Jam Fight for Vendetta, but for basketball. But I miss all that stuff. Even Vendetta and Fight for New York too. Those were
oof. I think the transition from And1 to NBA Ballers was seamless. I feel like NBA Ballers is another underrated video game because it was one-on-one basketball, but it was also like NBA Street, but you could also have like a cool like career mode. And you had, my favorite part was they had like a film vault. And this is back when I didn't have cable. This is when I like grew up without cable. They have a film vault of like a lot of NBA inside stuff segments that you could watch, like all these like players. They're talking about NBA hair, and it's like Ben Wallace afro, and it was all of that. And just NBA Ballers, the first one was just complete, just so good, and just phenomenal gameplay in terms of just like especially for that time. Like I can go play it now. I have the game now. I'm like I can go back and play it and still have fun for like hours, right?
Yeah.
And that's rare for like I think a video game, especially a basketball game now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not you're not catching me popping in like 2K17 and like trying to replay it's just like 2K. It's like as soon as we make the new 2K, we don't play the older ones that much anymore.
The only 2K game that I would ever bring back are the college hoops games, just because of how special those were. I used to love taking a small rung team and then taking them right to the Final Four, and then taking that draft class and then putting that right into 2K8. That was
right.
Oof.
I think that especially the replay value of those college games, where it's football or basketball, it was always had higher replay value because in college, after 4 years, the people you're recruiting don't exist, right? But that they're only going to be around for 4 years, and then the next crew, where it's like NBA, as soon as you play 4 years of like a dynasty, now you have a bunch of people mixed in with people that exist, mixed in with people that don't exist, and you're trying to like mash them all together. But that's what. Have you played NBA 2K My Eras mode?
Not yet. I've been watching a lot of like I Am Click videos and seeing how he's kind of adapting that. It's a lot of fun to see just redrafts of different eras kind of playing around, going through like the years in the NBA, because he had like a LeBron going through like the Jordan era, which was like pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to just. I'm so glad they put that game mode in. Where I have a run right now where I started in 1983 with the Sonics.
Ooh,
right. So I had like Patrick Ewing and Ralph Sampson, and then we had to tank because it just wasn't efficient. we just weren't good enough. And then so we tanked for about 5-6 years, and then ended up with we got Shaq and Penny.
Oh
yeah, we were bad. We were a bad tanking team. So it's been good to just be like, oh, hey, we can start in this era. And I wish more video games started. Like, I wish Madden had a start where we can start in 99, or you can start in blank, whatever. I wish that could happen throughout all the other games. Because this is like the most fun I've had in a franchise mode in years, honestly.
Yeah, I agree to your point. The whole idea that like after a couple of years, it kind of loses its like replayability, because like I'm drafting from all the downloaded drafts, and then it gets to a point where you're using like auto drafts, and then you have this guy named like, I don't know, Alexanderson, and he's got like a weird fro hawk and like sleeve here. I'm like, what is going on right now? What is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got to check out that. My whole thing, my relationship to 2K, I always wait until the trade deadline is over. and then I start a brand new GM season with the Raptors, and then I'm just like, who's here right now? Let's make some trades. Let's get to the finals. Let's do all that different stuff and make them go 82-0 or 30-0, whatever. How many games I want that season? But been doing it less and less these years because, as I was saying earlier, I think, or I don't know if I said it earlier, but I think these video games are best enjoyed unemployed in your mom's basement, and I mean that in no disrespect. I think it's the absolute best way to enjoy them. When you have that like full 12 hours, you ain't got nothing going on the next day. You can just go upstairs for food. It's not even a worry. Like that's just the best experiences that I've had with all of these different games.
Yeah, it's the ultimate time sink, honestly. The fact that you can just go multiple like seasons and just like time just like passes you by. Those were just the best experiences, honestly.
Yeah. All right, just transitioning to fandom. Now, I know you're a Pistons fan.
Yes, I am.
And I'm a Raptor fan. And I feel like last season there was a little bit of online beef between the Raptors and the Pistons based on the Rookie of the Year race, also between the Cavs too as well. So tonight I was hoping we can pull a Crips and Bloods unity meme moment. All right. I'll say something. I'll give one compliment to Cade, and you can give one compliment to Scotty Barnes.
All right. Oh, am I starting?
Yeah. I can go. I go first. I think Cade is a generational talent who has complete mastery of pick and roll, and he can give you points, rebounds, and assists. And you guys got a stud in a point guard who's hella tall.
I want to apologize to Masai when he drafted. When I remember when Scotty Barnes got drafted and the immediate reaction was like, "Why the fuck are you not picking Jalen Suggs or whatnot?" I was on there. I was on that level, man. I apologize wholeheartedly. I said that last season too, where it was just like, look, Scotty. The funny thing about this is that Scotty and Cade played together in high school.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. So it was funny. It's just cool to see them both like shining and all that. And Scotty he's gonna be like a great defender. And the thing is that he's improving in like every level. Where we saw him put in the work defensively, like on the summer videos and all of that, and then like just making more strides as like an offensive playmaker as well. Like the sky is the limit for him. Like the thing about the Rookie of the Year thing, it was that the Pistons haven't had anything to celebrate in like since the Obama era or whatever. Like it's been years, man. So we were like, let us have this. And I don't think we're gonna get I don't even think we're gonna get Jaden Ivey as Rookie of the Year. I think Paolo is gonna just run away with that. So
he is hungry. Hungry.
So it's one of those things. So
yeah.
But I'm glad that the Pistons have gone away from like, because they had a stretch where they just like refused to tank like full-heartedly. They refused to trust the process, and they were just getting like 11 and 12 picks. And it was good to see like an actual number, like high picks in the draft. Finally, it's been a while.
Yeah, I think that's the worst position you could be as an NBA franchise. Just like not bad, not good, like that middle area where you're not getting anything returns at the end of the year, and you're not getting any playoff kind of stuff. It's that weird limbo area. And as a Raptor fan, I've been there. I have been there.
And it paid off, right?
Now 25 years with this team, there have been some real high highs and some low lows, and I never thought we'd win a championship in my lifetime. I thought maybe like it's gonna be like my kids, I'll show you, like I'll experience this with you. And then 2019 happened. I was like, yo, anything is possible, man. This is crazy. Yeah. All right, let's just go on a time machine, right? It's June 26, 2003. With the second overall pick, the Detroit Pistons select Carmelo Anthony. So let's do a Marvel what if. How does selecting Carmelo at second change the franchise of the Pistons as well as the city of Detroit?
It's interesting where it's one of those, like, we picked Darko, right? And then won the championship, I think, the year after, right? And Darko wasn't really that big of a help to that. I think the Pistons drafting Carmelo would have made an easier transition away from the Big Four. I'm talking about, Big Five, if we include Tayshaun. Where it was like Chauncey, Rip, Sheed, Wallace. I think that the Pistons, that core, they hit their timeline, and Melo didn't really agree with their timeline, but he would have definitely helped
Mhm.
like the transition from, hey, we have Billups, and oh, what are we doing? We're trading for Allen Iverson. Oh, this is what's going on. It's like
Yeah.
it just went off the rails as soon as LeBron, as soon as that, whenever people show the LeBron going off for like 25 straight points
Yeah.
in that series, every time I see that, I see more like, I'm just like, oh, come on, because that was like the beginning of like the like more of a decline. I think,
Yeah.
losing to the Spurs also, like the Robert Ory shot, like, but the Spurs that's a generational team. Can't even hate on that.
Mhm.
But I think that the Pistons, for the window that they had and for the age of that core, Melo didn't really like, he wasn't really like near it, but like he was close to where he could have definitely helped prolong that core for at least 2 or 3 years. Um, but I don't know. I feel like the Pistons still end up not like, it's hard to say, because it's like Melo was able to get his reps, get his shots up with like the Nuggets and get Rookie of the Year, where it's like, do we know if Melo, how would Melo have fit with a Pistons core that was already like set in stone?
Yeah.
Would there have been tension there? Would have been, I would have loved to see it. But I can't, I'm not going to be able to like fully be like, I guarantee that the Pistons would have won. They would have beat the, who won it? They would have beat the Spurs. They
Yeah.
would have beat the Heat. Like, they would have beat the Heat in advance and beat the Met. Like, I can't say all that,
Yeah.
but I do know that anything was. I feel bad for Darko, actually.
Yeah.
I feel bad for a lot of NBA draft busts when it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
and then everybody around them was good. Like, that's probably, I think, for a draft bust, I think it's not how you did. I think it's how the people around you
Yeah. I think it's a
did in
testament.
comparison.
Yeah, it's also a testament to how like a franchise kind of brings you in, and your opportunities and your touches, and how you embrace the city and the city embraces you. There's a lot of different factors, and just kind of flat out saying this person who was the best person their entire life on every single team, including college and overseas, is bad at basketball is such a weird
Mm.
um I don't know, way to kind of phrase their career, when it's like, no, they've just been excellent their whole time. This might not be the opportunity, you know.
Right, exactly.
Shout out to Anthony Bennett. I feel sorry for you, bro. It's interesting that you have this kind of like Zen like looking at, not the what if, because I feel like as Raptor fans we have so much what if Kawhi stayed, or if Alonzo Mourning actually got on a plane and flew himself to Canada. So I appreciate that kind of like, whatever will be kind of thing. So that was nice.
I think that was okay. That was what, 19 years ago. I have to let it go by then. Like,
Yeah.
like, I think, yeah, it's with especially with Darko, it was just like, you take risks in the draft, and it is what it is. I'm not a scout. I would never want to be an NBA draft scout. That sounds terrifying, to be an NBA draft scout and have like the 6th pick, where
Mm,
it's like, now it's like the media can't help you and be like, oh, this guy is a just shoe fire, like, number one. Now you're just like on your own, really,
yeah.
where it's like, okay, well, all the locks are locked, but now it's up to you now.
Yeah.
That sounds absolutely terrifying.
That'd be crazy if you're just like in the arena and that person you pick is just clanking off the backboard. Everyone's just shooting you looks, just like this was your idea, man.
Right. It's like that Sandler movie. I forget what the name is. It's like with Bo Cruz. What, have you
Oh,
seen that? What's it called?
um, oh, Hustle.
Hustle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, where he's like, dude, hey bro, this is my last shot at I'm like, what? That sounds incredibly stressful. You gotta go all around the world and like look for a player, and then being like, that's such, I think it's a good movie. But it
Yeah.
was just like,
How much
yeah, he
bad
was.
basketball do you have to watch as a scout too, just to find those kind of diamonds in the rough too? Oof.
I watched the Pistons, so it can't be that much more.
it's
So,
it's It's funny, I have a cousin out in Detroit, and he used to call me during that whole series, like when the Pistons were like back again, and he would just answer the phone with a Detroit basketball because I was like a LeBron fan and a Raptor fan, so he was just like he
Yeah.
always used to neg me on that, and I'm like, yo, I had to follow LeBron wherever he went, and it was always a tumultuous time, but always fun. Um, okay, so next question. Who do you think, in your opinion, won the draft between the Atlanta Hawks and the Dallas Mavericks? Now, personally, I believe that both teams won, and the Sacramento Kings are actually the ones that lost. But I'd love to hear your opinions as a Trae Young fan.
Oh, I always think that I always think that the Kings lost and they get away with this. Like the Kings get away with this argument because of like the Luka Trae thing. But the thing is with that I was holding on to the fact that I think the 10th pick was also involved in that, and like Cam Reddish was involved in that. I think the Luka Trae deal, if I'm not mistaken. So I was always like, all right, let's chill out. We know Luka's generational and Trey's really good, but let's see how that 10th pick goes or that other pick. And then the Hawks just like ship Cam Reddish out of there or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I forget which pick it actually is, but like whoever it was, I was just like, all right, let's they're like, okay, well, Cam's not here anymore. So I guess this. But the thing is that I always think that, hey, did you really want I can't even envision Luka in a Hawks uniform,
That
right?
would be, Atlanta would go crazy, man. That would be
I
so.
You
Just
could
this.
Photoshop it. You could Photoshop it all you want. I'm like, I could never have seen that in real. Same with Trey and Dallas. I think that
Yeah.
the cool thing is that they both are embracing their cities and they have
Mhm.
both done just immaculate things already in their career. Like both of them have made the Eastern Western Conference Finals. Luka and Trey. Luka's just a generational, like just heliocentric star,
Mhm.
and Trey is one of the best, like offensive catalysts we've seen, where it's like 30 and 10, just like
Yeah.
every game.
Such a good passer. I feel like that's something that people don't
Yes.
give him compliments for enough. Like his court vision since university, college days, he had great court vision, especially going downhill. He is like terrified. I just saw him actually last night. They played the Raptors, and him going downhill. He pushes that pace and he makes intentions with all his passes and where he looks, and you have to like be up on him. So you're giving away all these different leakers. So he
Yeah,
is a dangerous dude.
he's terrifying. And the thing about you trade defensively is that you're like, okay, but we all know this. And I'm glad that the Hawks got DeJounte Murray to kind of like
Yeah.
cancel that out and be like, look, we understand that Trey is never gonna really be a plus defender. So we should just probably get some defenders.
Yeah. Uh,
It's like that kind of
that, that
thing.
that leads into my next question. Actually, can you pick one player in the NBA that you think would complement Trae Young's game the most? Now you can go fantasy and be like Steph Curry if you want, or you can go something like specific that would just like something that he would just work so well with.
I want DeJounte Murray to work, but we can go with the obvious where it's like Embiid, Giannis, all of that, space the floor, nice pick and roll players. I feel like backcourt duo. Dude, backcourt duo, probably. No, actually, give me Trey and Jimmy Butler. I actually like that.
Oh,
I would like
I
that.
really like that actually.
I
Uh,
saw. I had to watch. I had to watch the Miami Heat put Trey in Alcatraz for 5 games,
they
and
iced him out.
it was just. But people were like shitting on Trey for that, and I'm like, no, the
This is
Miami
not-
Heat just have like 8 perimeter defend. Like Eric Spoelstra was 3D printing like these 6'7" to 6'9" quick defending guards. They just switched them all out,
yeah,
and then it was like, does Trey have? Is there a real secondary ball handler on the team?
yeah,
Not really.
yeah.
But so it was just, it made me. I was just upset because after the phenomenal series and phenomenal getting the Eastern Conference Finals, and then just get out first round. Also, it was the number 1 seed Miami Heat, so it's
Yeah.
like, what more can you do? But I was like, dang, I was
Yeah,
rooting for that.
it was a tough one. Just like, oh, one pick switch, next pick switch. It's like, oh, they just have everybody. They just have
Yeah,
contingencies for the contingencies. That's crazy.
yeah.
Um, Last couple questions. So on the last episode, I sat down with somebody who runs a Raptors podcast here in Toronto, and we had this, that joke online where it's like guys can just sit around all day and just name random NBA players. Give
Right.
me your most random Detroit Piston player, something that would just slide. People are like, "What's going on?" I don't remember that.
Henry Ellenson.
Henry Ellis. That's like the big white guy, right? The tall guy.
Yeah. I might even botch that name, but yeah.
There's no way to fact check that. There's no way to fact check.
Yeah, he doesn't exist. Henry Ellenson's up there.
Yeah.
John Lure.
Ooh, yeah.
For specific Pistons. Corliss Williamson.
Okay, yeah. He used to just be mean to people. I remember that, right? Then he just knock them
out. Jason Maxiell.
The shortest power forward in the world.
Short, yeah. Carlos Delfino, I think, was a Piston for a little bit.
Yeah, he was fun.
Yeah, it was. Of course, Greg Monroe. When
Moose.
I always tell people, I'm like, you haven't seen true NBA like suffering until you saw the Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond, Josh Smith lineups that we used to throw out there. It was, I'm telling you, that was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my. And the thing is, it's not worse because they weren't bad talent wise.
No,
it was just that Josh Smith thought he was a 3-point shooter and wasn't. So now you just have basically you're playing 3 power forwards. And it's not even like when the Cavs were playing like 3 bigs last year, because they all like Laurie could stretch the floor at least. And it was just like, okay, well, we are now playing 1970s basketball in like the early, I forget what year it was, but yeah, that was just troublesome hoops, man.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like Andre Drummond and Greg Monroe got like 20 rebounds each from just offensive misses from 3-point shots. So that must have been hard.
So hard to watch.
All right. Last two. Do you have any like toxic fan things or quirks that you do that makes no sense from the outside looking in when you watch a game? Like, is there
when I watch? Well, when I was in New York, what I do is I would bet on the other team to win. I do that a lot.
That's pretty good. So no matter what, you're coming out winning.
Yeah. I do that all the time. Where it was just like, hey, this team is bad. Can I at least cash in some money off of it or whatever? If the lines are good, if the spread is good, the Pistons are I think there was a stat last year where the Pistons were like really good against the spread or something, and I was like, all right, well, so that's a toxic thing. What else do we? I defend Cade. I'm not as toxic on Twitter as I used to be. It was like it's like a Twitter's a time sink now. But it was always this thing where it was just like, yeah, I hate when people are like, your team is bad too, and I'm like, yes. That's not gonna stop me. That's never gonna stop me from like making jokes about your team or whatever. Yeah, I've never.
What?
It's like, you want to fire me? I just like, you can't fire me. I'm the manager. Like, it's one of those things. Like,
yeah, I'll sink the ship I'm on just to kill the captain. Like, I don't care. Like,
right,
I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And last question: enemy of the state in Piston land. Who is that?
Enemy of the state?
Yeah. Who did like every Piston fan can get on and be like, nah, they're not welcome here. We don't like them.
I can't speak for that. I think I actually really don't know. I remember when I was rooting, I used to just like root against LeBron so much, so badly. And that's why the 25 point thing just hurt. But then when the Pistons became like just absolutely irrelevant, I was like, okay, I can appreciate basketball greatness now. Yeah. Didn't like Kelly Olynyk for a while, and then he played for us for a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, there's not really a enemy of the state. It's not Joe Dumars. Because Joe Dumars is Pistons. He's still Pistons basketball royalty, even though he was a shit tier GM. It's stuff like that where it's like this, but it's a lot of that. It's not Darko because we've like that's I was just out of his control and whatever. Might be Josh Smith for me. I think it's Josh Smith for me, man. I don't know. It was I remember we were so excited to see, like, Pistons fans were so excited to see him leave because it was about time. Like
Yeah.
and then there's a meme, right, that I didn't make. There's a meme of the Pistons like hanging up a championship banner, but the banner says we got rid of Josh Smith. And then after that, we had to pay him like $5 million a year for like
Ooh.
4 or 5 more. Yeah, he was like, yeah, it was bad. It's like we still owe Josh Smith money.
That's alimony checks.
And then we turn it around. Josh Smith is playing for what, the Rockets or Clippers.
Oh.
No, this is after. Like, he goes to the Rockets or Clippers and starts like playing well in playoff games, and we're like, man, if only. But yeah, it was. Yeah, the Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond, Josh Smith Pistons. They're always welcome, but I was just like, that's probably like my least favorite. That was probably my least favorite basketball team to watch. So yeah,
I feel like the Raptors equivalent to that is Andrea Bargnani, and then when we kind of shipped him off to I think it was the Knicks first, it was just like, whoa. And I feel sorry for him because if he was around right now, this is the perfect NBA for this guy. Just stretch threes, no rebounds, no like duty to be in the key at all, buddy. He would have been primo pasta living it up out there, man. Dang.
It's sad to see like certain basketball players be ahead of their time.
Yeah.
And like their careers didn't flourish because of it, you know.
Yeah.
I always talk about how if Kevin Garnett just took one step backwards, because he took some of the longest long twos of all time, right? I feel like Kevin Garnett, if he like took a step back and like started becoming like one of the first like behind the arc bigs, because I know he had the range for it. I feel like but that time was just like, nah,
don't do it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's one of those things. So Kevin Garnett's already an all-time great, but you always like wonder, like, what if like sometimes he like stepped back behind the line and shot a little bit more threes. I feel like that's always what I think about.
Yeah.
In NBA 2K7, he's like a 72 3-point rating. And I'm like, if in the 72 point overall rating, if you play a couple of seasons and then on the off season work on your threes, Kevin Garnett becomes a 99 overall with he's already a 99 overall, becomes 99 overall with a 3-point rating of like 80 or something. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
So that's what I always think.
I know, straight up ahead of his time. Guy can guard 1 to 5, and I think he was on an episode of the Jamie Foxx show. So a true visionary. But thank you so much, Kofie, for sitting down with me. Where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, Kofie. You can find me on TikTok at KOFIEWHY. You can find me on YouTube at Kofie. Find me on Twitch, KOFIEWHY. And you can find some of my videos on YouTube Secret Base. It's called Fumble Dimension. We've been doing that show for 3 years now. So, yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting.
Of course. No problem. Anytime.
All right. Yeah, man. Take care.